And welcome back. So I got you zoomed in on our launch scan tool here as well as our TPMS tool. We'll cover those in a second. But welcome back. I got you back on our 2012 Red Ram, otherwise known as Project X, also known as Candy Apple. And what we're going to do today is program some TPMS sensors. When we ordered the tires, I was asking the individuals at the tire shop if they could order TPMS sensors that were compatible with my launch or the launch scan tool that you see here, just so in the event if we ever had to do a ODB to, a TPMS relearn, things of that nature, or we could do it with our scan tool here and do things like being able to read the existing IDs and such. Well, they don't use the, unfortunately, ones that are compatible with launch, but they did say that I could bring them a set of TPMS sensors that were already programmed and ready to go. So what I want to do in this video is, you can see that we've got our launch scan tool here. We got our TPMS wand, which if you're curious, this is the launch X-431 TSGUN, which is Bluetoothed into our scan tool. And also, it also works with other launch scan tools as well, not just this larger tablet. And 4 of these LTR01 TPMS sensors, which are dual frequency, 315 and 433 megahertz, because some Dodge gears use the 315, some use a 433. And we don't have the truck powered up at this point, so we're going to be talking solely to the TPMS wand you see here. And I went ahead and wrote on the outside of each package, you know, front left, front right, so on and so forth. Now, even if they don't follow that, or we mess them up and we put them on the truck, from what I can gather is going to happen here with the way Dodge kind of handles their relearn procedure, what we could do is it should kind of take care of itself, if that makes sense, and I'll explain more in a little bit once we get through here. So I'm just going to go into the TPMS software of our scan tool. Let's say OK to that, and you can see it's connecting via Bluetooth to the scan tool itself. We want American manufacturer. We want Dodge. We're looking for Ram 1500. We're looking for a 2012, so I want the 2010 to 2013 433 megahertz option. And delete sensor data. I want the old TPMS sensor data deleted. Yes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the programming tab at the top. And you can see it starts off with front left. And on our TPMS wand, show that to you here, it says front left waiting for programming. So here's what I'm going to do. Now, I want the scan tool to generate a new activation ID. Now, it does look like you could potentially copy the OBD data or copy the activation IDs out of the OBD on this one and write them to new sensors, and that would maybe save you a little bit of pairing time and or learning time in the future. But rather than do that, and I'll explain why, but right now, if I read the ECU IDs, and I did this earlier, there's actually 2 duplicates. It's got the same ID on 2 of the tires. So the existing IDs on this one aren't any good. And besides, unfortunately, I can't show that to you because I just turned the truck off. I don't have the truck's dongle plugged in. But what we're going to do is create new IDs and write those IDs into the sensor. So starting with front left, I'm going to say auto. You can see it created this ID. I'm going to take the sensor, place it in front of the TPMS wand, and then go into programming. And you can see it's going to go in the testing sensor. You can see it's programming. And I don't know if you can hear that. It's making a little bit of chatter. It kind of sounds like an old dial-up modem session. Now the wand's going to then ping it and come back and verify it. So you can see this now has the ID of 02 Charlie 1 4 Foxtrot. So this is now our front left. I'm going to put this in a box, and I'm going to move it away from the table. I don't know how strong the TPMS wand is, but I don't want it to inadvertently pick up one. So front right, again, just going to take a new sensor, put it in the front of our scan tool. Once again, I'm going to say auto. So there's our new ID, 2 Alpha 232. Go into programming. And it should write that new ID into that sensor. And you can see it programming the sensor now. And what I'll do is yeah, that should actually come out okay. I shouldn't have to zoom in more. Again, it's going to ping that, make sure it's been written. So you can see that we now have that 2 Alpha 232 ID into what we're now calling our front right sensor. So I'm going to put that in the box. And again, I don't think at least with the RAM, it matters that I'm actually marking these individually, just because by the way it looks like, at least on the 2012, the way it handles the learning. And you can see as this advances to rear right, so does the wand as well. And I'll show you that. Did that on its own. So once again, place a sensor on top of the TPMS wand, auto-generate a new ID. So Baker Foxtrot Foxtrot 6. Going to say programming. It's going to go out there and verify I can talk to the sensor, and then now it's programming that ID into that sensor. The wonders of wireless communication. Now it's going to ping it. It should ping it and come back with the ID. Again, Baker Foxtrot Foxtrot 6. So that's right rear. And now we need right left. Once again, just placing at the top of the wand, auto-generating an ID, 2 Alpha 706. And now we're going to program that ID into that sensor. And this is the reason why the sensors have to be compatible with the tool that you're using, because if you're going to be getting new sensors like this and you need to write an ID into them, obviously it has to be able to be compatible with that sensor to basically do the programming that you're seeing here. And it should ping that sensor and come back with the 2 Alpha 706. Okay, beautiful. Now, we don't have a spare tire. So we're going to not program a sensor for a spare. Well, we'll have a spare tire on here. We're just not going to have a TPMS sensor in it. Okay, so now with that being done, you can see at the top here we have an active that'll show you your active sensors. We're in the programming menu now, and in case you're curious, yes, I can switch unit on this. So we could take temperature, change that over to Fahrenheit. And if you wanted to, then you can come in here and say, give me pressure based in PSI. And there we go. So you can see that they're all reading 0.14 atmosphere or pounds per square inch at this point, because they're not mounted in anything, obviously, and they're not reading any pressure, or at least they're only reading atmospheric pressure at this point. So we've got our sensors programmed, and as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward process. Now, to be fair, to be honest with you, I went through that process a couple of times. So that's twice I was able to program those sensors. So these particular TPMS sensors can be apparently programmed multiple times. So just FYI on that one. Now, there's a learning option in here, and you'll see that these are the IDs we just got done programming, if you remember, from our previous screen. And they give you, there's an automatic process in which they give you some instructions, because some vehicles you simply just, you know, install the sensors on the tires, put the tires on the vehicle, and as it says here, you follow your instructions, you wait a little bit, you drive a little bit, you don't go above a certain speed, you don't go under a certain speed for a period of time frame, and the vehicle will kind of self-learn those IDs on their own. Now, and you can see that he's got some sensor part numbers in here, like manufacturer Schrader, 433 megahertz, and it's got some Mopar part numbers in here. So if your Mopar part number falls in with within these ranges, this is what they deem as being the self-learning process. And there's also an ODB learning steps. Now, I tried the ODB learning steps earlier, and it involves basically activating the sensors like you saw us do earlier, and then turning the ignition on and basically hitting this button down here at the bottom for OBD relearning, and it failed the relearn. Now, with that being said, I did look this up online, and there is a TPMS reset procedure that you do within the vehicle that doesn't involve the scan tool. You're literally holding, at least on this 2012, you're holding down the trip button on the dashboard while you turn the key to the on position, and you keep it held down while it goes through and does a check on the dash gauges, and eventually gets to the point where it puts the TPMS system back into a learning mode. And then you just start and run the vehicle appropriately, drive for a little bit, run for a little bit, and it will apparently self-learn. I think that's why this failed when I tried to do the OBD relearning. I'm not sure if the RAM, or this particular vintage RAM, supports the scan tool writing those new values into the TPMS, or if it just prefers to, learn it on its own. Now, your experience may vary. Your vehicle may require the scan tool to write the values, or maybe even older RAMs will do it, or newer RAMs will do it versus older ones. So it's kind of a long-winded way of saying that I can't do the learning process because they're not mounted in the rims and the tires aren't on the actual vehicle itself. So I'll have to bring you back for kind of a follow-up video when we do that one. Now, I just wanted to show you this here. If we go into diagnose and go in the read ECU ID, again, we're still within the TPMS option on there, and this will fail, unfortunately. Let me go turn the key to the on position, because I want to show you those duplicate IDs. Okay, sorry for the delay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this session because it will eventually time out, which is fine. I'm going to go back on the TPMS. Okay. And America, Dodge, Ram 1500. We need a 2012 and the reason why the screen's gone is because I closed out of the app. Read ECU ID. Now this should come back and show us the existing TPMS sensor IDs that are currently in the truck. And I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see that. I'll get you in closer. You'll see this one. So left front and left rear have the same ID. Right front and right rear have the same ID. So there's been a little bit of tomfoolery as far as somebody playing around with tires on this thing and switching stuff around and so far and so forth. So that's why we couldn't just simply copy the existing IDs into new sensors and save ourselves some time, because that's not valid, and it's going to come up and tell you that you've got a duplicate ID. Let's see. So read DTCs, just out of curiosity, in case you're wondering. And of course, it's complaining about TPMS sensors. We know that. That's why we're getting new ones. I'm going to go back into that real quick. Yeah. Location undetermined. Yeah, it's just more sensor issues again. We knew we were going to have sensor issues. Now that we've read the ECU IDs, however, you notice we're on the active screen, but you can see this field is now filled in. The OBD ID hex value, and you can see that duplicate. The 688, 688, 6A alpha, and 68 alpha, and 6. Oh, 6. Okay, so you got a 6. Sorry, one duplicate. You got a 6B alpha there, a 68 alpha there, but you have a duplicate Delta 688 and Delta 688. So front left and rear right have the same ID, at least according to the truck right now. But what we can do, because again, we can't quite finish the learning process until we get these to the tire shop, and the tire shop does what they need to do to them to get them installed, is that we can do this. Now, just out of, being double checking, I guess is a good way of putting it. I'm on the active screen here. Now, I've got our wand set up. You can see it's already ready to go. It's sitting on front left for us. Just like when we were setting these up, I'm just going to put it in front, hit OK, and it's going to activate that ID. Now, came back Charlie 1 4 Alpha. That was the ID that we programmed in earlier. So we know that this one is active, has an ID programmed into it. Again, we're just double checking our work here. We want front right. Let's push down on the TPMS tool. Now it now says front right up there, and it advances to front right on the scan tool itself. I'm going to hit OK, and all it's going to do is go out there and ping the TPMS sensor and come back with the ID. So there's our 2 Alpha 232. It's our front right. And now we need, next in the list is rear right. There you go, rear right. Baker Foxtrot 6. And now we want to advance to our rear left. There we go, 2 Alpha 706, perfect. So what we would do is that, so that verifies our programming. It verifies that each one, again, this is what the truck has for the old sensors. So never mind that column for now. This is what it just read out of each one of the sensors individually. So that verifies that we've got an activation ID programmed into each one. So beautiful. So what we're going to do, and just to show you that, it does show kind of some of that same information on the wand itself. Now, I tried using this wand standalone. It doesn't seem to work standalone. It needs to be used in conjunction with the tool from the looks of things, or at least this particular wand seems to work that way. So what it does is verify that we've got each one active, we got each one programmed with a unique ID. So once we get the tires back from the tire shop and we get it mounted, we'll bring you back for a follow-up video in which what we'll do is we'll do the reset procedures when we get to that point of being able to pull the truck out of the garage and drive it for a bit. And what we'll do is we'll come back here to our activate screen. We'll use our tool. We'll go around to each tire and we'll ping it. And by pinging it, it's going to wake that sensor up. And then we'll put the truck into a learning state and drive it around for a bit and see if that'll get it to read these IDs in on their own, or if we have to, basically that's the automatic process you see up here, or do we have to go into the OBD learning steps? But from what I can see online, it's a matter of just using the trip reset button and holding it down while you turn the key on to put the truck into a TPMS reset mode, and then it should read those new sensor IDs in on its own. But with that being said, hopefully, like I said, I'll bring it back and shoot a follow-up to this one, but this one may be a little bit shorter of a video than what we normally do here. But don't worry, we got more stuff coming. We got new interior carpet arrived the other day for our Ram, and we're working on what we're going to be doing with our seats and such that we're going to take out of our 2010. But with that being said, that'll all come in upcoming videos. And I'd like to thank you. We are growing by leaps and bounds. Last I checked the subscriber count, we are nearing the 1,400 subscriber mark, which is phenomenal and excellent channel growth. Just looking to continue that growth. If you have not subscribed already, please consider doing so. For those of you that have subscribed already, many thanks. It helps us to again, the more we can grow the channel, the more we get noticed. It domino effects into the more individuals that see our videos, the more individuals that see the ads on the channel, and thus adding, more ad revenue to the channel itself. I have had a couple individuals reach out to me in reference to potentially, selling t-shirts and stickers and things of that nature that I see a lot of channels do. Maybe at some point in the future, it'll be something that we do. For now, like I said, I am looking into it, but it's not something I think that's going to be on the immediate horizon. But again, be on the lookout for that. I don't like to ask individuals to do Patreon memberships or channel memberships or things of that nature, because I think there's just a lot of that type of stuff going on right now, and I don't want to pile on to things, so to speak. For now, we're able to manage with what we're getting, and the easiest and best way to currently support the channel is just to let the ads run through. Like I said, I do turn off the non-skippable ones, as well as the ones that kind of pop up at the bottom and kind of get in your face. And if you see any of those pop-up ones come up, or a non-skippable one come up, just let me know in the description box below, because I may have missed it and forgot to turn it off. And I apologize for that, and I'll get it taken off of that particular video. Like I said, but for now, we're doing good. But the easiest and cheapest way to do it is just to let the ads play on the channel. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. But I'll bring you back once we get the tires back and we're ready to go on to the TPMS learning procedure. You may see that video next, or you may see us start up the new section of videos on our 2012 Ram, where we start kind of pulling the seats and the carpet and everything out and prep for the new items that'll be going in. But that being said, I've rambled on long enough, and I'll bring you back for the next one. Thank you much. Bye.